Hello, you're watching VNA News Agency's Daily Bulletin. Following are the headlines.
Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng visits Khánh Hòa Province. Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu Province holds audit poll for drilling platform workers. Foreign direct investment tops $6 billion in 4 months.
Continuing his working trip to the southern central region, on May 4th, Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng visited Khánh Hòa Province. More in the following report.
Working with provincial officials, the party leaders spoke highly of Khánh Hòa achievements despite of difficulties and challenges, such as an annual average economic growth rate of 6.8% and state budget collection of 13 trillion dong. He hailed the province's efforts in stabilizing the political and social life for local people, maintaining defense and security, as well as building a strong and pure party organization. General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng asked the province to make thorough preparations for the upcoming elections of deputies to the 40th National Assembly and People Council at all levels for the 2016 to 2021 tenure. Representatives from central agencies suggested that Khánh Hòa should tap its potentials to turn it into an internationally acclaimed tourist destination, in addition to developing the fisheries sector and protecting the environment. Earlier, Party General Secretary Nguyễn Phú Trọng made a fact-finding trip to Dien Dien Commune, Dien Khánh District. The party leader expressed his hope that the commune will continue to speed up its economic restructuring, develop tourism services, pay heed to environmental protection, and respond to climate change.
During a reception for UN Deputy Secretary General Jan Eliasson in Hanoi on May 4th, State President Trần Đại Quang affirmed that Vietnam always treasures valuable assistance from and cooperation with the UN, as well as the UN official.
President Quang said the international community, including the UN, has made remarkable contributions to Vietnam's achievements. He affirmed that Vietnam will continue to join the UN's efforts for the world of peace and sustainable development. The state leader thanked the UN for its coordination with Vietnamese relevant agencies to build the Vietnam-UN Cooperation Plan for 2017 to 2021, as well as its humanitarian relief aid for people who have been suffering heavy losses caused by drought and saltwater intrusion in the southern central highlands and Mekong Delta regions. Deputy Secretary General Eliasson said relations between the UN and Vietnam are developing fruitfully. The UN highly evaluates Vietnam's successes in implementing the Millennium Development Goals and human rights. He asserted that the UN will join hands with Vietnam in coping with climate change and providing more support for residents affected by drought and saline intrusion. Earlier, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Phạm Bình Minh held talks with UN Deputy Secretary General Jan Eliasson. Minh stressed that due to the impacts of climate change, Vietnam is facing the most severe drought and saltwater intrusion recorded over the past 90 years. The Deputy Prime Minister thanked the UN's timely support, such as the listing of Vietnam as one of 22 countries in need of assistance from the international community. He also informed his guests about the regional situation, including recent complicated developments in East Sea, asking the UN to request the concerned parties to restrain and resolve the disputes through peaceful measures in accordance with international law. The United Nations Deputy Secretary General expressed his concern that disputes in East Sea are escalating tensions in the region. He affirmed that the UN supports the settlement of the disputes in line with the proposed measures.
At the government's regular meeting in Hanoi on May 4th, Prime Minister Nguyễn Xuân Phúc urged cabinet members to show greater resolve in the management work as the country is facing a wide range of socio-economic difficulties.
Prime Minister Phúc pointed to a flurry of problems such as high levels of bad debt and saltwater intrusion in the southwestern region and drought in the Central Highlands. The situation gets worse as inflation has shown signs of increase and economic growth in the first quarter of this year has dipped compared with the corresponding time last year. Given this, the leader called for more efforts to build a pure government who stays away from corruption, wastefulness and other bad deeds, saying that the Prime Minister himself and cabinet members should set bright examples in this regard. He requested agencies and authorities at all levels to better care for the people's material and spiritual life, while taking measures to meet the growth target of 6.7%, curb inflation and support those residing in areas prone to natural disasters. A report presented by Minister of Planning and Investment Nguyễn Chí Dũng revealed that the National Consumer Price Index increased constantly in the first 4 months of this year, with April's figure expanding by 1.89% year-on-year. Alongside this, mass fish deaths due to environmental pollution in central coastal provinces have exerted adverse impacts on the local fishery and tourism sectors. However, the macroeconomy still remains stable, with trade surplus hitting $1.46 billion in the January to April period, and the number of international visitors increased remarkably.
Deputy Minister of Planning and Investment Đặng Huy Đông attended the integration segment of the United Nations Economic and Social Council, known as ECOSOC, in New York on May 3rd and 4th. Our reporters in the U.S. will bring more details.
The Deputy Minister delivered a speech at the session on institutional frameworks and policy planning, saying that policy innovation and integration presents challenges and opportunities for all UN member states, particularly a lower middle-income country like Vietnam. He noted Vietnam has been working to integrate the UN Sustainable Development Goals into its socio-economic development plan for 2016-2020. The country has adopted a number of policies to enhance the effectiveness of public and private enterprises, especially in terms of institutions, business climate, corporate responsibility, transparency and equality in access to resources and business opportunities. Speaking on the behalf of the ASEAN member states, Dong highlighted the importance of policy planning at regional levels to implement the 2030 agenda.
Hundreds of engineers and workers casted their votes in southern Bà Rịa Vũng Tàu province for deputies to the 14th National Assembly and People's Councils at all levels for the 2016-2021 tenure on May 4th, just before sailing to work on drilling platforms at sea.
The poll was held prior to the general election scheduled to take place on May 22nd. The Municipal Election Council and Vietnam-Russia joint venture arranged 2 polling stations at Vũng Tàu Airport and on a Vietso Petrol barge that is docked at the company's port. The stations will open until election day, allowing approximately 2,000 people to perform their citizens' rights. On May 2nd, 2 naval ships left the wharf of Brigade 171 in Vũng Tàu City and sailed for the southern continental shelf to help forces and fishermen working there cast their votes. With the help of the Navy, early elections will be organized at 47 locations from the waters off the coast of central Bình Thuận province to those of southernmost Cà Mau province.
Vietnam launched over $6.8 billion in foreign direct investment by April 20th, up 85% year-on-year. We have more in the following report.
The investments came from nearly 700 newly registered projects and 314 added capital ones. In the first 4 months of this year, FDI disbursement was estimated at $4.7 billion, up 12% against the same period last year. The processing and manufacturing industry attracted the most foreign direct investments, with about $5.2 billion. The science and technology sector came in second. The northern port city of Haiphong tops the country in attracting new FDI projects with nearly $1.6 billion. It was followed by Hanoi and the southern province of Bình Dương. Among the countries and territories investing in new projects in Vietnam, the Republic of Korea took the lead with $2.4 billion, making up 48.8% of total investments from new projects.
Passengers taking domestic flights in Vietnam can now carry liquids, aerosols and gels on their flights. This information has been announced by the Civil Aviation Authority of Vietnam.
The new regulation follows a circular recently adopted by the Ministry of Transport on National Civil Aviation Security Program. It took effect on May the 1st. The liquids, aerosols and gels have to be carried in sealed small containers. The Civil Aviation Authority of Vietnam said that the circular was enacted based on general instructions from the International Civil Aviation Organization. It is expected to create more favorable conditions for passengers. Regulations on banned liquids on board remain unchanged. Regarding international flights, the new regulation states that only 1 liter of liquids, aerosols or gels is allowed on board. On international flights, liquids must be carried in bottles, vials or containers with a capacity not greater than 100 ml and be contained in completely sealed, transparent plastic bags. Liquid medications must be accompanied by prescriptions. Milk and food for babies or infants must be accompanied by babies or infants when carried on the aircraft.
Big cities, including Hanoi capital and Da Nang, recorded large numbers of holidaymakers during National Reunification Day and May Day. More details in the following report.
Nearly 228,000 tourists, including 42,640 foreign visitors, arrived in the capital city of Hanoi during the holidays, a year-on-year increase of 14%. The tourist sector earned $29 million, 14% higher than the same period last year. Popular attractions included Temple of Literature, Thăng Long Royal Citadel, the capital's old quarter, Hoan Kiem Lake, and Ngọc Sơn Temple. Between April 30th and May 2nd, about 224,000 tourists came to the central city of Da Nang, including 44,200 foreigners, up 25% compared with the same period last year. According to the Municipal Department of Culture, Sports and Tourism, the city launched several programs to ensure safety for beach activities amid concerns over massive fish deaths.
The International Hot Air Balloon Festival kicked off in the central province of Thừa Thiên Huế on May 4th as part of the 9th Huế Festival. Let's take a look.
The two-day event has seen the participation of pilots and balloonists from 9 countries, including Thailand, Malaysia, India, the UK, and Vietnam. It features hot air balloons of 25 meters in height and 18 meters in width, offering an aerial view of Huế Imperial City from a height of 150 meters. The balloon of Vietjet Air represented the host country Vietnam during the first day of the fiesta. The show takes place from 5:30 a.m. to 8 a.m. and from 5 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. with balloons taking off at Hàm Nghi Yard in the Citadel and landing in separate locations in Phú Mỹ Commune of Phú Vang District, Tứ Hạ Ward of Hương Trà District, and Hương Long Ward of Huế City. The fiesta brings a breath of fresh air to the Huế Festival 2016, as well as the province tourism industry.
And that has come to an end of our program. Thank you for joining us. I'll see you next time.